The Japanese figured out a way to fall asleep in just 2 minutes and then stay asleep the whole night through. Think about how you feel after one bad night. Foggy, short-tempered, you can't think straight, and you trade almost anything for the nap you're not allowed to take. The problem is that for a lot of us, this happens most nights. Doctors keep telling us how sleep is doing more for your body than almost anything else you do. It's repairing your brain, steadying your mood, protecting your heart. And the Japanese seem to have figured out how to get it right, from sleeping on solid wooden pillows to warming their feet in a bowl of water before bed. It sounds bizarre, but every one of these methods has real science behind it. They cost you next to nothing, and you can try them tonight. And don't just stop at one, put a few of them together, and you'll wonder how you ever struggled to sleep in the first place. Now you may be asking, how can a wooden pillow help me sleep? Well, the Japanese have used them for hundreds of years, and you've probably seen them in old paintings and museums. They're called the takamakura, and what they did was hold your head up and off the bed, so your neck stayed cradled and your spine stayed in a straight, neutral line all night long. That back sleeping supported neck position is almost exactly what sleep doctors and orthopedic specialists tell you to aim for today. We pay pillow companies good money to recreate it, but that was never why the Japanese used them. It was vanity. In old Japan, a woman's hairstyle, the tall shimada updo, took hours to build and was meant to last for days, sometimes a full week between visits to the stylist. A normal pillow would crush it flat in a single night. So the takamakura floated the head up off the surface and the hair hung in the open air below the neck, untouched until morning. The good posture was just a lucky side effect they stumbled into. The literal translation of takamakura is high pillow, and it survives in an old phrase, takamakura de neru, which means to sleep in peace. Now, I'm not telling you to go sleep on wood, so let's fix the thing that keeps most people awake in the first place, which is a mind that won't stop. Remember that 2-minute breathing method I promised you? It's called Susoku-kan, pronounced Sokukan. When you're lying in the dark, wide awake, and your mind races through tomorrow, the emails, the argument you never settled, the thing you forgot to deal with. The more you try to force yourself to sleep, the further away it drifts. One Japanese Zen teacher summed it up in a single line. When sleep won't come, stop chasing it and start counting your breath. Now I know counting to 10 doesn't sound like it could knock you out, but here's what's actually going on. You breathe slowly through your nose, and on each breath out you count 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10. Then you go back to 1 and start over. You keep your attention down on your belly, about 2 inches below your navel, rather than up in your busy head. Those slow, drawn-out breaths bring your breathing down to around 6 a minute, and that number is the whole reason this works. At about 6 breaths a minute, your breathing lines up with the natural rhythm of your heart, and that raises your heart rate variability, which is one of the clearest signs your body is settling down. It shifts you over to the rest and digest side of your nervous system, the side that slows everything down through a big calming nerve called the vagus nerve. In other words, you're reaching in and flipping your body's off switch by hand. That 6 breaths a minute effect is one of the most consistent findings we have in this whole area of research. And the method itself goes back a very long way. Susoku-kan is the Zen version of a much older Buddhist breathing practice called anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing, which traveled from India to China and eventually into Japan. Zen teachers have called breath counting both the first step and the final destination of meditation, and he told people to simply start doing it whenever sleep wouldn't come. Try it tonight and you'll feel your arms and legs turn heavy, your thoughts start to lose their grip, and the count itself get harder to follow because you're already drifting under before you reach 10. So all you do is lie down, let your eyes fall shut, breathe slowly through your nose, and count each breath out from 1 to 10. When you lose your place, and you will, you just go back to 1 and carry on. It's a skill more than a switch. So the first night might take you longer than 2 minutes, but it gets quicker every time until you barely have to think about it at all. This is what I love about the Japanese. They've got a simple, clever fix like this for almost everything, and most of them won't cost you a penny. So I wrote a book to gather all the money-saving methods they've used for centuries to keep their home and their family in good order. It's at thejapanesemethod.com. Scan the QR code or click the link below to grab your copy. If you want it, it's there. Now, back to getting you to sleep. The breathing quiets your mind, but that's only half the problem because your body is still tense. And the Japanese have a second older way to switch that off too. Even after the breathing, you're lying there with tension you don't notice until you go looking for it. Your jaw, your shoulders, your hands curled up for no reason. You've been told to relax your body 1,000 times and it's never really worked, so what makes this any different? Your feet, and since the breathing already puts you in a calm state, the scan builds on that instead of starting from scratch. Progressive relaxation and body scans like this are some of the best studied wind down methods that don't involve a pill, and they work by turning down the physical arousal in your body, which is the same nervous system shift the breathing just gave you. What you'll feel is each muscle letting go and turn, and a heavier, sinking feeling into the mattress, like the bed rose up to meet you. Mind quiet, body loose. Now, the Japanese do something that's purely physical, and it has nothing to do with your head at all. It's about your body temperature, and oddly enough, it starts with your feet. This one is called ashiyu, pronounced ashiyu. You know the feeling of getting into bed with cold feet and how those freezing feet keep you awake no matter how tired the rest of you is. The Japanese don't warm their whole body to fix that. They just warm their feet, which is faster, cheaper, and stranger than a full bath. Right about now, your instinct says this is backwards. Warming my feet makes me sleepier? Don't you cool down to fall asleep? You do, and that's exactly why this works. When you warm your feet, the blood vessels in your hands and feet open up, and that lets your body push heat out through the skin. As that heat leaves you, your core temperature actually drops, and a drop in core temperature is the real trigger for sleep. So you warm the outside to cool the inside. Sleep scientists have a name for this, the distal to proximal temperature gradient, which just means how much warmer your feet are than your core, and it's one of the best single predictors of how fast you'll fall asleep. The classic research on this comes from Croce and colleagues back in the late 1990s. Here's where I have to be straight with you, because that's the whole point of the channel. The mechanism is rock solid, but a foot bath on its own isn't magic. One controlled trial in older adults found that a warm foot bath didn't change their sleep at all, while warm socks worn to bed gave clear improvements. In one study, people fell asleep about 7.5 minutes faster, got roughly 30 extra minutes of sleep, and woke up fewer times during the night. So the honest, useful version is this. Warming your feet does kick off the heat dumping process. And a foot soak works fine, but a plain pair of warm socks is the lazy and better tested way to get the same result. Either way, what you'll feel is a drowsy heaviness spreading up your legs as the heat leaves your feet. So soak your feet in warm water for 10 to 20 minutes before bed, or just pull on a pair of socks. That's the cheap, weird version. There's also a full body version of the same trick, and this one has a hard number behind it. That full body version is the ofuro, pronounced ofuro, the traditional evening bath. Think of it as the foot bath's big brother, the same warm then cool trick applied to your whole body and timed so the temperature drop lands right when you turn out the lights. Picture yourself sinking into hot water at the end of a long day, your shoulders finally loosening, and your first thought is fair. A hot bath right before bed. Won't that heat me up and wake me up? It would if you got the timing wrong. It's the same physics as the foot bath, just bigger. The hot water opened your blood vessels, and after you climb out, your core temperature doesn't just settle back to normal. It drops below where it started, and that drop is what tells your body to feel sleepy. Timing is everything here, because the cool down takes about 90 minutes. So the bath needs to come about 90 minutes before bed, not right before it. And this is where the strongest number in the whole video comes in. A 2019 review from biomedical engineers at the University of Texas at Austin, led by Shahab Hagayeg, and published in Sleep Medicine Reviews, pooled 13 separate trials. They found that a warm bath or shower of about 40 to 42.5 degrees Celsius, which is 104 to 109 Fahrenheit, taken for as little as 10 minutes, 1 to 2 hours before bed, cut the time it took people to fall asleep by about 36%, and the sweet spot they landed on was right around 90 minutes before bed. The nice part is what you feel, because the heavy limb drowsiness doesn't hit you in the tub. It shows up about an hour and a half later, right as you're getting under the covers. So take your bath about 90 minutes before bed, and then let that slow cool down carry you under. You've reset your temperature from the outside. But the Japanese also do something on the inside, hours earlier, at the dinner table. This one is called harahachibu, pronounced harahachibu. Picture lying in bed at 11 at night with a big heavy dinner still sitting in your stomach, too full and too warm to fall asleep. The old Okinawan principle here is to eat until you're only about 80% full, and to eat a little earlier in the evening. So how full you are at dinner really does change how you sleep hours later at midnight. When you eat to about 80% full and finish earlier, your digestion isn't fighting your sleep at bedtime. A heavy, late meal raises your core temperature and keeps your gut working hard at the exact moment your body is trying to cool down and shut off. And then there's the nightcap myth, which is worth clearing up. Alcohol does help you fall asleep faster, but it wrecks the back half of your night, breaking your sleep into fragments and cutting into your dreaming sleep. So the glass of wine that feels like a sleep aid is actually stealing sleep from you. The Japanese swap is easy. Instead of the evening drink, they'll have a caffeine-free Japanese tea, like mugicha, pronounced muji-cha, which is roasted barley tea with no caffeine in it, or a mellow genmaicha, pronounced genmai-cha, a little earlier in the evening. It's warm, it's a ritual, and it has zero caffeine. The real win here is mostly about what you take away, the heavy late meal and the nightcap, and that part is very well established sleep science. So that's what goes into you. Now let's talk about your head and neck again, and the comfortable pillow I promised you earlier. This is the Sobakawa, pronounced Sohbakawa, the buckwheat pillow, and it's the comfortable descendant of that wooden block from the very start. It keeps the good part and gets rid of the sleeping on stone part. You felt the problem it fixes. Your head sinks into a hot memory foam pillow that slowly gets warmer and softer until your neck has no support left and your face is sweating. Buckwheat in a pillow? Yes, and here's why it beats the foam. A Sobakawa is filled with buckwheat hulls. They're little husks, and they shift to match the exact shape of your neck and then stay there, holding your neck in a neutral position all night. And unlike foam, those hulls are full of tiny air gaps so they don't trap the heat coming off your head. Your head stays cool, which helps that same core temperature down idea from the bath section. There's no fancy study needed here, it's just plain mechanics. Breathable, natural filling instead of heat-trapping foam, and support that holds its shape instead of a pillow that collapses as it warms up. What you feel is cool, supported, and not overheating at 2 in the morning. This is the buy it tonight moment because a buckwheat pillow is cheap, easy to find, and weird enough that you'll actually remember to try it. Your head and neck are sorted. Now the space around you and a brain trick built right into the way the Japanese make their bed. This is the futon, pronounced futon, and they sleep on a firm surface right on the floor. But here's the strange part. Every single morning the bedding gets folded up and packed away. Think about your own bed for a second. It doubles as your office, your dinner table, your scrolling spot, and your late night worrying spot. So how does folding the mattress away every morning help you sleep? There are 2 things going on, but the second one is the real prize. First, a firm, even surface does keep the spine aligned well for a lot of people. But the important part is that because the futon gets put away each morning, your body only ever lies down in that spot to sleep. Your brain never gets the chance to link that place with being awake, with scrolling, with lying there frustrated at midnight, with worrying about money. So lying down there comes to mean one thing and one thing only, which is sleep. This has a clinical name. It's called stimulus control, and it's the backbone of CBTI, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, which was developed by Richard Bootson in 1972 and is still the front line, guideline recommended non-drug treatment for chronic insomnia today. The futon habit is that exact clinical principle built right into the furniture. And you don't need a futon to use it, you just need the rule. Your bed is for sleep only. If you're lying there wide awake and frustrated, get up, leave, and come back only when you feel sleepy. The bed itself is now retrained. Next comes the space around it and the trick that tells your nervous system it's safe to switch off. This is the kaya, pronounced kaya, the mosquito net. Picture a sheer canopy hanging over the bed, with the whole world softened and held at arm's length on the other side of it. Your first thought is reasonable. A net just keeps the bugs off, doesn't it? It does that too, but there's something else going on. A closed-in, canopied space makes you feel less exposed. And when you don't feel exposed, the threat monitoring part of your nervous system, the part that's always half watching for danger, can finally stand down. And that standing down is exactly what has to happen before you can fall asleep. It's the same instinct behind why so many people sleep better in a small nook, under a canopy, or under the reassuring weight of a heavy blanket. Now, I want to be upfront with you. This one is a sensory and psychological cue rather than a lab result. It belongs to the same family of comfort and security signals that make canopies and weighted blankets so popular. And I'm not going to dress it up as a clinical trial, because it isn't one. It's the weird human atmospheric part of all this. But you can feel it, that cocooned, tucked in, nothing can reach me feeling. And that feeling matters more for sleep than it gets credit for. Safe and enclosed. Now let's zoom out one more level to the whole room in the single job the Japanese give it. This one has two parts, the tatami and the igusa, pronounced tatami and igusa. The idea is a bedroom that does exactly one job, no screens, no work, no TV, with the faint grassy smell of the rush matting acting as a built-in sleep cue. Picture the opposite instead, a bedroom cluttered with a TV, a desk, a phone charging on the nightstand, a room that's asking your brain to be alert and asleep in the very same place. And the natural question is, the smell of a floor mat is supposed to help me sleep. There are two layers to this. First, a single purpose. Screen-free room reinforces that same. This place means sleep link we just built with the futon roll. Second, the steady, mild, grassy scent of igusa, which is the rush grass that tatami mats are woven from, can slowly become a learned cue that your brain files under this is where we power down. Scent is one of the fastest routes straight to the calming side of your nervous system, faster than sound or sight. Now, keep this in proportion. Single-purpose, low-stimulation bedrooms and steady pre-sleep sensory cues are just standard, sensible sleep hygiene, and the scent works as a learned signal, not as a sedative that knocks you out. So the practical move is to get the screens out of the bedroom and give the room one steady, calming scent so your brain learns the signal over time. That's everything you can do inside the house. But the Japanese also do something outside, hours before bed, that sets the whole night up. This is Shinrin Yoku, pronounced Shin-Rin Yoku, which gets translated as forest bathing. And I know how that sounds, like you need a forest to do it. The usable version is much smaller. Step outside for about 5 minutes before bed, leave your phone indoors, and let real light and a little quiet reset your system. Your honest reaction is fair. I don't have a forest outside my door, so how is this for me? There are two things happening, and neither one needs a forest. The first is about your body clock. Natural light is the master signal that keeps your internal clock on time, which is what makes your melatonin show up when it's supposed to. Even a few minutes of real evening light, and morning light especially, sets that clock far better than sitting under indoor lighting with a bright phone in your face. The second is about stress. Time spent in nature shifts you toward that calm parasympathetic state and lowers your stress hormones. And this is a real research field, not a slogan. Shinrin Yoku was turned into an actual area of study called forest medicine by Dr. Ching-Li at Nippon Medical School in Tokyo. Reviews in this area consistently report that time in nature lowers the stress hormone cortisol, raises heart rate variability, and tips the nervous system toward the parasympathetic side, with some research linking it to better sleep quality as well. I'll be honest, the deepest effects come from an actual forest. But the part you can transplant is the phone-free light and calm break, and you can get that from a backyard, a balcony, or one slow walk around the block. Where you feel coming back inside is settled, calmer, and your clock reset. So your whole day is now set up for the night, which leaves one last Japanese habit, and it's the exact opposite of what you'd expect. This one is called inemuri, pronounced inemuri. Everything you've been told about naps ruining your night is incomplete. The Japanese nap openly, in public, without wrecking their nights. Picture someone fast asleep, sitting perfectly upright on a packed Tokyo train, and nobody around them thinks a thing of it, and your instinct kicks in right away. Hold on, doesn't napping ruin your night sleep? Usually it does, and here's the reason. A nap sabotages your night when it runs too long. After about 30 minutes, you sink down into deep sleep, and if you nap that far, you wake up groggy and you burn off the sleep pressure you need to fall asleep later that night. Inemuri naps are the opposite of that. They're short and time-locked, roughly 10 to 20 minutes, and taken earlier in the day. That's long enough to bring your alertness back, but short enough to leave your night completely intact. The practice itself has been documented by the Cambridge Japanologist Dr. Brigitte Steger, who's written about its strict etiquette and its short duration, and the science of the short power nap. Keeping it under about 20 minutes and earlier in the afternoon is well established. But I owe you the honest twist on this one. Inemuri is also partly a symptom. Japan has among the shortest average sleep of any wealthy country, around 6.5 hours a night, and all that public napping is partly the price of that. So the real lesson isn't nap like the Japanese to fix your sleep. It's this: if you're going to nap anyway, do it their disciplined way, short and early, so it helps you instead of hurting you. So sit back and look at what these households actually did, with no pills and almost no money. Just your breath, just your body temperature, just what you eat and when you eat it, just where you lie down and what's hanging over your head, just the timing of your day and the light you let in. And every one of them works just as well in a bedroom in Ohio as it does in a small apartment in Tokyo. The biology doesn't care which country you're in. Your body cools down and switches off the same way everywhere. You don't have to try all 12 tonight, because that's the wrong way to do this. Pick the one problem that's worse for you right now and start there. If your mind won't stop, start with the breath counting. If you wake up hot in the night, start with the cool pillow in the evening bath. If you're lying wide awake in a bedroom that's doing 5 other jobs, start with the single purpose room and the bed is for sleep only rule. Run that one method until it's automatic, until you're doing it without thinking, and then add the next one. Thanks a lot for watching, and if this was useful, subscribe and send it to someone who's been struggling with sleep. And if you want the full collection of Japanese tricks and methods, remember to check the Japanese Method Book. Everything the Japanese have done for centuries, gathered in one place. It's at thejapanesemethod.com. Scan the QR code or click the link below and let me know in the comments once you get it. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.